So I get that question more than any other. So why are you going for Congress, or why do you want to be an elected official? You know, this is my backyard. This is where I was born and raised. I was born here in Central Florida. You know, I grew up just like so many other Americans that are here, so many other Floridians. You know, I came from a broken home where my mom and dad both suffered from drug addiction and drug abuse. They were in and out of the jail and prison systems. I mean, my father, he did more time in prison than what some people would get for committing murder. And that was just the way the judicial system worked back then. But I was lucky with my grandparents. They actually took me and adopted me and became my actual parents. And so like that was that whole first introduction to what is a nuclear family. You know, we were very traditional. We ate at the dinner table every single night, unless my grandfather, who was a welder, didn't get back in time, and then my grandmother and I would wrap his plate in tin foil and put it in the oven until he came home type thing. And you know, I might get that 20-30 minutes like many kids who come from a blue collar family where they talk to their dad right before they get to bed because they have class the next day type thing. We went to church every single Sunday, like a typical, you know, family here in Central Florida. You know, Obama, they used to say, we're so big on our guns and Bibles, right? I mean, that really is though Central Florida, the Beltway, the kind of, you know, blue collar America here in, you know, where we grew up. So having raised in like that kind of work ethic where it was all about, you know, what you put into something is what you get out of it, and that was the way my grandfather was. You know, when I went to high school, you know, again, right here in the I-4 corridor area, you know, it was one of those things where going and wrestling in high school and playing football in high school, these were things that just came natural. It's about work ethic. It's about working hard. I mean, even Coach Hartley, our wrestling coach, used to say, you know, hard times make hard men. And I always remembered that. And we're in hard times right now. We're in hard times economically. We're in hard times, you know, here in Central Florida, especially with the open border crisis, with regards to opioid addiction and all the things that my family still struggles with today. So, you know, it's important, you know, to understand where I came from is no different than every other American, you know, in this area, or many of the Americans in this area. You know, I know what it is to grow up in poverty. I know what it is to eat rice and tomato gravy 3 nights out of the 5, you know, and it's one of the things that I used to hate, and now all of a sudden, like, I crave this sometimes when I go back home. I'll ask my grandfather, I'm like, hey, can you make this and some cornbread? And, you know, just kind of get back to, like, you know, what it was as far as that old staple eating. But, you know, knowing how hard our family worked and knowing the opportunities that our country's given us, that's why I went into the military. That's why I wanted to serve our nation, the greatest nation in the world. And that's why, you know, even though we went off and we fought these endless wars, which I'm not for, these aren't wars that are selected by the soldier. These aren't wars that are, you know, necessarily picked or voted on by the warfighter. They're voted on people, you know, hundreds of miles away in Washington, D.C., who don't understand what these wars actually involve. They don't understand the ramifications to these endless wars and this nation building, that George W. Bush mentality. And that's why we need more veterans who are in Congress, who understand what happens whenever they vote for these wars, and who understand the ramifications and what we need to do after the warfighter leaves the battlefield. That's what this is about. It's about getting down to the people who understand what it is to be boots on the ground.